What's up guys, I'm back playing some more Disgaea RPG, and I thought that it's about time that we have a look at Barbara and Xenolith, just discuss that whether they're worth you summoning on, just having a look, are they really any good at all? My first feeling when looking at them is I didn't get that excitement that I felt when I looked at Pure Sicily, Dark Artina, or Calidia, so let's have a look and just see why. And remember guys, if you do enjoy the video, please do hit like and subscribe. But first, let's look at Barbara. So she's an axe user, and her build looks like she's supposed to be a very tanky unit, looking at these stats here. Very high defense, very high resistance. I have looked at her before in a previous video, but not as in-depth as I'm probably going to look at in here. See, look here, her resistances and her attributes, or attributes, what I should say, they're quite high as well, all 25%. But her evilities. So, for herself, when wielding an axe, attack and defense plus 27%. So there's no buff for an axe team there, it's just herself. Second passive, SP plus 6 when she's attacked. So because she's an axe unit, she's very slow, she's probably going to be attacked quite a lot. So she's going to be seeing quite a lot of the SP plus 6, I would have thought. NE5. The lower her HP, the higher the boost on defense and resistance, up to 70%. Now that's quite similar to Red Magnus. He had something similar to this to lower his HP when something got buffed. But for me personally, this isn't really an ability I get too excited about. I don't want to go in there and have to expect to be taking damage to actually see some reward. So for me, that one's just not quite hitting the mark. NE7. For herself, again, damage dealt by skills plus 45%. So, I originally said that she looked like she meant to be a tanky build. But she does also have these two evilities, her main and her NE7, get an attack buff and damage dealt by skills. So she can also hit hard. But is she going to be your axe carry? That I'm not too sure about. I think if you're summoning for units these days, you're either looking for a unit that's going to buff your damage per second character, or is going to become your damage per second character. I'm not sure that Barbara is either. I mean, if she's on an axe team, with her NE5, she's probably going to see a lot of survivability, unless she's getting one hit. But still, just looking at this, just nothing shouts summon on this one. Not for me at all. Let's have a look at her skills, and we'll go back to her evilities. First one is just a buff move, just for herself again. Defense boost, up to 45% once leveled up enough. Second skill, single attack move. Low cost, gives herself a buff of attack plus 5%. And her last move, quite expensive, 70 down to 65. Again, a single attack move, but it does give her an attack buff of 30%. So yes, she can deal a lot of damage, but only to one unit at a time. There's no skill there that's AoE. There's no evility that helps anyone in the team that has an AoE attack. So like a lot of units that I'm not too much of a fan of, she is quite selfish. Magic spells that she's got, the star attacks, star, megastar, gigastar, and then also armor break and mega armor break. So none of those spells are exactly screaming to me to put them into her build set. Can't say I'm going to waste mana getting her staff up to level 22. 9, what's her basic then? She can, in level 2, her basic staff mastery, so you could raise the staff mastery up to level 9. It's only going to be 7, so you're probably looking at under 700 mana for that. Does it start at 50? I can't remember now. But just to get armor break, if you do summon for her. Again, it's not a move that's going to me, yes, we need to get armor break. It's there if you want it. And then let's look back at these evilities. Look at the evilities, look at the skills. See a lot of combinations we've got there. So with her SP plus 6, every time she's attacked, She's quite a slow unit. Her speed is under 50. So you're expecting her to go last. Every time she's getting attacked, her NE5 is going to kick in if you've raised up to NE5. So her defense and resistance are going to rise each time. So every attack you're going to see less health took off, and she's going to get an SP buff of +6. So if she does get attacked 5 times, that means she's going to have an extra 30 SP after she's been attacked. So 30 plus the 10 she's going to get 40 SP per turn if she is the last unit. So you're always going to be able to get off that order prediction skill. So she's going to get an attack boost of 5% there. If you do a normal attack, every 2 turns you'll be able to get off her big NE3 attack, Order Chaos Dance, where she'll get an extra buff of attack plus 30%. So she is going to hit really hard. I mean, on the face of things, you think she is a tank, but she can hit really hard, except it is only be 1 unit. That's her downfall there. Then you've got to consider, is she going to be a boss killer or not? She is getting a lot of attack buffs, she is getting a lot of defense buffs as well, and she's getting SP +6 anytime she's attacked. I would say myself there are better options for raid bosses, better options for just general bosses in the game. I wouldn't say she's an awful option for it, especially if you consider the raid bosses, you get more SP than you usually would, +6 if she's attacked. So let's say you are in a raid battle, you get the extra SP anyway. She might receive 1 attack if you're lucky. You're going to be getting off her Order Chaos Dance every 2 turns, I'd say. Minimum, you're getting off her Order Prediction. That's going to be buffing her attack by 5% as well. Plus getting her NE7, damage dealt by skills, plus 45%. So it's not like that she's a bad unit. I'm just not thinking, wow. I think for me to summon on an axe unit, I'd need something a bit more special on that myself. Maybe someone that's got more of just 1 area effect attack would be nice. If she had 1 area effect attack, a nice cheap one, instead of this order defense, raise her defense up skill, don't need that. I don't think she needs that at all. If she had a cheap AoE attack, I think that would make me feel like she's worth potentially summoning on, not going hard on it, but maybe putting a few quartz into it. But other than that, she doesn't really get me excited at all. Let's move on to Xenolith. So he is a spear unit. High attack compared to his other stats, but they're not majorly different. He's fairly balanced. Speed's okay. His attribute resistances there, 3 of them are quite high at 50% each, so that's quite nice. Let's just have a look at what his staff is. Staff's full, and his spear's fine, yeah. Let's have a look at these evilities. The reason I look at that staff one now, I'm going to tend to look at that every time, is because, just for the spells, if they've got a Mega Braveheart, which you really like, and a Braveheart, usually level 9 and 22. So I like when the staff for sub-units, where the staff is their sub-weapon, is level 9. It's always quite nice to have. But let's have a look at his evilities. Main one, spear-wielding allies attack plus 18%. So all spear allies, a nice buff. Self, healed by 15% if an enemy is down when a turn ends. So that's similar to Tyrant Valvatores, I think. He's got a healing when someone's down at the end of turn. Spear-wielding allies, damage dealt by skills plus 15%. And female allies, damage taken minus 12%. For an NE7, for me, that's underwhelming. A spear team, your main unit's going to be Tyrant Valvatores, if you pulled him. I mean, I don't see why you'd pull on Xenolith if you haven't got Tyrant Valvatores, because he's going to want to be your main damage unit, and you're going to be Xenolith to be his support, because I'm not sure he's going to be strong enough to be your main damage unit. I'll quickly jump down to his skills and his spells, and I'll come back up and look at combinations between evilities and skills. First skill, Chaos Emphasis. Gives himself an attack and intelligence buff up to 30%. quite a cheap one as well, SP10. Dark Phenomenon, single attack, low cost-ish, and it lowers the enemy's defense by 10%. And his NE +3 is Chaos Divider, a very expensive area effect attack, but it is a C to C+, which is good for an AoE attack, and it does debuff the enemy's defense by 12%. So that's quite nice. His magic spells, Star, Megastar, Gigastar, Magic Down, and Mega Magic Down. Oh, I don't like that. For a spear unit to have Magic Down, unless you're building him into a team that's going to have some units that have high intelligence moves and that are going to be going after Xenolith, are you going to... I don't think you build around that. That's a very odd one to have. I can only think down the line, for the first year anniversary, you've got Thunderlord Lahol, who has his main evility of if all allies have a different weapon, then they get his big buff. But that's 9 months off, and there's probably better units you're going to put on that team instead of Xenolith, so I don't like those skills. I don't like those magic spells, I should say. Not for me. You could put a star move on there, because he has that intelligence buff, but I wouldn't personally put too much mana into raising his staff. Not for now, not until you know a bit more about future units that you might want to combine them with the magic down, but currently that's not for me. Look at his evilities and his skills again. So spear wielding allies attack plus 18%. That's like Killia's, the original Killia. His has got fist allies plus 18%. It's not an awful one. I wouldn't mind if it was a little bit lower and it increased defense as well, maybe, but 18% is okay. Because like I said, if Tyrant Valvatores, if he's your main damage dealer, the whole point of other units on the team, probably, unless you're just mixing teams up, is probably just to buff Tyrant Valvatores with the other evilities. And this one's perfect for that, 18%. Because he doesn't have Braveheart or Mega Braveheart, it's 18%. It's a nice buff. That combined with the spear wielding allies damage dealt by skills of plus 15%. Again, perfect for Valvatores to combine with this one as well, because of his Tyrant Sweep. That's great for that. That'll also go nicely with his own Dark Phenomenon skill, because that's fairly low costing as well. So he should be able to hit fairly hard himself, but I don't think, same with Barbara, I don't think either of them are going to be your main damage unit on any team, unless you've been really unlucky with other summons, or you haven't got your targets. But for me, nothing exciting there. They're not needed right now. I think if you were going to summon on these, they were needed before the current 2 banners that come out, not right now. I mean, he heals 15% if he kills an enemy. That's quite nice to have, but it's not a make or break deal for me. It's just a nice little addition. But that NE7, I think that is god awful for a spear team anyway. Female allies damage taken minus 12%. For starters, it's just female. For seconds, it's only 12% damage reduction. They could have made that 25 for an NE7. They could have raised that quite high. Especially since it's only females as well. So female staff units, you've got a Suka Crane Kick, Margin Etna, and Normal Etna. I mean, 2 of them aren't exactly great. Margin Etna's okay. Etna, she's good for specific reasons against female enemies and pretty enemies. I think that's what her evilities are again, if I remember rightly. But it doesn't shout for me that, wow, that's a great NE7. That's terrible in my eyes. I mean, someone, if you want to write a comment saying it's brilliant, give me a good reason, and I'll take that back. But currently, I'm looking at that thinking that's rubbish. So just unfortunately for me, neither of these 2 units. I think it is just because we've had 2 fire banners. You've had Pure Sicily and Dark Artina. They were very much needed in the staff units of the game, so that was really hype. Callidia, the fish team, also needed a really hype fish unit, and that's what we had. And then our mood and our excitement, I think, just dropped for this banner here. So for me, unless you've got a lot of spare quartz, or your teams just are really going to benefit from, say, Xenolith more so than Barbara. A spear team could benefit from him, but Barbara, an axe team at the minute, because all her evilities are for herself, for me, she's not great. I prefer a unit that at least can buff the whole team somehow, but she just doesn't do. But anyway, guys, that is Barbara and Xenolith. Apologies, it's a bit of a downer one for them too. Not awful units, just not groundbreaking for the end of this month. They're nothing special really. But anyway, guys, if you did enjoy that video, please do hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.